Hello, everyone. My name is Arush De Silva on behalf of the Samadhi Buddhist Foundation. And I'd like to welcome everyone to this month's Clarity of Mind for young adults through mindfulness session. I would also like to wish everyone a happy and peaceful Vesak season. For today's session, our teacher will give us the insight into the qualities of Lord Buddha and how we can also develop these qualities ourselves in our lives as well. Now, I would like to invite Venerable Chandarathana Thero to commence today's session. Thero Sarnai Bante.
Thero Sarnai Arosh. So I welcome all of you to today's special, I think, Vesak mindfulness session. So let me share screen. So hope you can see my screen. Arosh, can you see my screen?
Yes, Bante.
Yeah. So let me begin with something very interesting. So this has happened long time ago. So there was an ascetic called Sumedha, and he was determined to become a Buddha, but not yet got any definite confirmation. And one time he was born at a time where when the Buddha, Lord Buddha called Dipankara was in the world, and at that time he was called as Sumedha, and at this time, so as an ascetic, so he lay down and offered his life to Dipankara Buddha, and there he got a definite confirmation that he will be, so this Sumedha, the ascetic Sumedha, will be a Buddha in the future as a Gautama, as the name of Gautama. So then actually, so this has happened extremely long time ago, and slowly, so he became sort of developing various qualities which is necessary to attain this Buddhahood. And once such qualities, what we call as perfections, parami, has come to the perfection, so then he was born to Queen Mahamaya. So actually this is a beautiful picture representing during the very first day of how this Bodhisattva, what you call this Buddhahood, Buddha to be, is now coming from the Tusita realm and getting birth at Queen's Mahamaya. So, and he was born after 10 months, and then what is interesting here, and he was able to walk 7 steps and make a kind of a strong determination and kind of a confirmation, kind of a verse that he will be the best in the world, he will be the supreme in the world, and this is my last birth. So basically, sometimes we can even challenge, is it possible to, for a young child, young infant, walk just after his birth? But this also has even now confirmed that such thing is possible, and certain evidence, rare evidence are available. So Prince Siddhartha, so make that kind of a confirmation that he will be a Buddha, and this is his last birth. So likewise, like a typical child, he is now growing. And then there was one very old Brahmin called Asita, and to him this prince was taken just to pay reverence. And at that time, this ascetic Asita has noticed that prince has a lot of potential to become the Buddha. So this is also kind of an interesting phenomena where a kind of a tradition represents what has prevailed during the Buddha's time or during this old India. And there are sort of traditions, customs, when a prince is born, a child is born. So he was taken to the ascetics, he was taken to the elders, and there they give a name, there they give a kind of a predictions. So these are certain customs prevailed in this old India. Now this ascetic Asita has noticed certain signs and marks available in this Prince Siddhartha, and accordingly he was quite definite that he will be definitely the Buddha. And then another interesting incident happened, like during a ploughing ceremony, you know, in the agricultural society, people are in the paddy fields and they do ploughing in order to get the paddy harvest. And King Suddhodana and his retinue also was participating in that. And during that time, actually, this Prince Siddhartha was able to attain first jhana, and this is also kind of an interesting phenomena that he has shown that he has a lot of potential, and without anyone's instructions he was able to attain jhana at this young age. So you know, as children, their minds are quite pure, and it is not distorted, or it is not polluted, and their minds are quite pure, and therefore attaining jhana and those kind of attainments may be quite possible. And only thing is, if they have to have the correct direction or correct advice or correct guidance. But here Prince Siddhartha, being a very potential person, was able to attain this sort of a very deep concentration at his very young age. Now, once he's growing up, he was able to got a lot of good education at that time, and then he was married to a princess called Yasodhara. So this is also an interesting task, because this princess Yasodhara also was with a lot of potential, and she actually has helped immensely to the Buddha to be that our Bodhisattva to make his perfections. And this is not first kind of a meeting. So if you know, as Buddhists, we believe the rebirth, and there are many lives that we had, and we are, I mean, during those lives we are gaining potential, or we are preparing a lot of karma, we are preparing a lot of skills, so that we are able to accomplish our say ambition. So now the Buddha to be as Prince Siddhartha, now actually married to this princess called Yasodhara. Now on one occasion that you may have heard, that now actually King Suddhodana never want to make this Prince Siddhartha as a Buddha. Instead, he liked his son, Prince Siddhartha, to be a monarch, you know, kind of a universal king who can rule the whole world. So that was his ambition. But Siddhartha's mind was quite different. So he was actually, because of the father's sort of strategies, he was confined to a very beautiful environment. He had 3 palaces, and basically he was not much with the mundane suffering that the people are going through. So one day, actually, while he was going to his garden, so he has seen kind of an old man who was almost dying and quite aged. And this is actually an eye-opening to Prince Siddhartha, because he has never seen such a person. Because King Suddhodana was quite capable, and he was uh, instrumental in removing all the old people, and removing all the sick people, dead bodies, and even the monks, so that the Prince Siddhartha only have a kind of a luxurious life, and again will never feel anything bad in this lay life. So King Suddhodana therefore is making kind of an environment which is completely beautiful, and it is appreciative, and again allowing King Siddhartha to have a lot of lay pressures. But in this situation, Prince Siddhartha has noticed this dying old man. And again, another day, he has seen a dead body being carried to the cemetery. And this is also a kind of an eye-opening sight to Prince Siddhartha. And another day, he has seen a very sick person that going through the road, and this is also a kind of a shocking incident, because now Prince Siddhartha is contemplating what is really happening to our lives and how impermanent it is, and again how short-lived we are, and of course we are subjected to various illnesses. So all these contemplations are now going through Prince Siddhartha's mind. And in another day, he has seen an ascetic or a monk, so who was quite calm and peaceful. And this is also a kind of an eye-opening sight to Prince Siddhartha. So he actually then thought of renunciating the lay life. And so he has renunciated, he has gone forth, and he left the palace, and he has now become an ascetic, and with the name of Gautama. So actually he went through a lot of difficulties, and he tried to learn various ascetic practices, and he went to a couple of teachers, but none of them were beneficial. And here actually we know that Buddha to be our bodhisattva spent long 6 years spending in self mortification. We are giving a lot of trouble to the body, tormenting the body, torturing the body. And that was kind of a belief during this all India, that in order to purify the mind, one has to sort of mortify the body. So even nowadays in India, these practices are available, and certain Brahmins and certain ascetics actually they follow these kind of traditions. And the Buddha to be also tried using those various ascetic practices. Now we can't therefore say that Buddha has become the Lord Buddha simply by because of his own potential, but rather he tried various methods. So there are various suttas explaining how difficult those times were, and how detrimental to his health, and his body was almost extremely lean. So likewise, the Buddha to be went through a lot of difficulties. So he tortured his body to the maximum and almost like dead. And then he understood, so this is not the way. This self-mortification is not the way. So once he understood that, he has given it up, and he remembered that in his old young age, that during this ploughing ceremony, he was able to attain jhana, and that was through a kind of a purified mind, that was through a joyful mind. So that memory make him a kind of a new, fresh determination to his sort of aspiration. Now he has turned away from this luxurious life, and again now he has decided to give up this self-mortification, and he is now trying to find a path on his own. So there are no teachers, there are no others, even the helping monks who were actually quite helpful to him during this self-mortification process has left, leaving him alone, because they thought that this Prince Siddhartha or this monk Siddhartha has now given up his determination. But Buddha to be was not given it up, rather he was quite determined, and he understood that I have to go in the middle path. So this bodily health is also quite important to this psychological, say, enlightenment. So therefore, he is maintaining now the body and the mind in a sort of a balanced manner. And just before the day of the enlightenment, one lady called Sujata has offered milk rice. So milk rice is kind of a traditional food to this Prince Siddhartha, or rather this Bodhisattva. And this is also a kind of an important tradition where we are offering food to the monks and whoever the, say, elders. So we are looking after them, we are supporting them. So we are supporting their spiritual tradition, spiritual endeavors. So this also represented in this story. So after actually determined, so this Bodhisattva now went to this Bodhi tree, And so he determined, so I will not stop this endeavor, I will not leave aside this effort without becoming the Buddha. So at that time, he was able to regain his health, and he was able to attain various jhanas, and he was able to practice vipassana techniques, and again, especially the dependent arising, paticcasamuppada, and as a result, so he was able to attain full enlightenment. So he became the Buddha. So this attaining of the Buddhahood also has happened in the Vesak full moon day, and the birth also happened in the Vesak full moon day. And after he became the Buddha, so he was searching to whom I am going to teach first. Then it occurred to his mind that his disciples, those 5 ascetics, were quite helpful to him while he was practicing self-mortification, and he thought that it's better for them to realize this Dhamma. So he went to Varanasi, and there he preached Dhamma. Probably you may have heard that sutta is called Dhammacakkappavatthana Sutta. So here in this sutta, actually one of these ascetics called Venerable Kondanya was able to attain Sotapanna. Now, this is how actually the Buddha started his teaching life, and there he started now preaching Dhamma to many monks, and a lot of others started to gather, and a lot of potential people come to meet the Buddha, and they also started supporting, and they also started practicing, and they also was able to attain full enlightenment. Now, this is also kind of a beautiful scenario where Buddha appeared to this world as a human being, and he spent a lay life, and he went through a lot of hardships, and he was quite determined to fulfill his say determination, that is to be the Buddha. And once he has achieved that, he was able to transfer that knowledge, he was able to share that knowledge with others. He didn't simply keep it to himself, rather he shared that knowledge with as much as possible. Then listening to his Dhamma, there are many others who were able to attain the same kind of an understanding. So they also became the Arahants. And in one occasion, Buddha now wanted to sort of distribute this Dhamma and to pass the message to many others. So he invited these 60 Arahants to go in many different directions and to spread the Dhamma. So this is how actually the we can, today's terms we call it as Buddhism. We can say now as a religion, as a kind of a practice coming to being. Now various Arahants now are going through various directions, through various roads, and they started to preach Dhamma, and many actually came to the Dhamma, and many were able to realize the Dhamma. And now it is not limited to the say monks, but even the lay people started to practice his Dhamma. So while being lay life, staying in lay life, they also were able to practice Dhamma, and they also started to lead a moral life, and again as much as possible develop mindfulness. And after so by practicing, there are started to have many lay followers. So after 7 years, actually he came back to his palace that is in the Kapilavattu, and there the King Suddhodana actually was quite amazed that Buddha and his followers, these monks, are going on alms round. So this alms round is a practice available in this whole Sangha, the members of the Sasana. So they go from one house to the other house without leaving aside any house, just begging food. So, you know, as monks, we are not allowed to say do a lot of say cultivation or acquiring food or storing food or having a job or etc. Rather, we completely dependent on the support or the generosity of the lay people. So this is an old tradition. This is the tradition of the Buddhas. This is the tradition of the Arahants. So Buddha, while in the Kapilavattu, so he was fulfilling this tradition, and he was going on alms round, one house after the other. And King Suddhodana was quite shocked, seeing that his son, who was to be a king, actually now begging house to house. Anyway, so King Suddhodana understood and Buddha preached him Dhamma. And after hearing the Dhamma, so King Suddhodana also was able to attain Sotapanna, because Buddha understood that King Suddhodana was quite capable and he also has quite good potential. And then he actually preached Dhamma. So while this incident has happened, uh, Prince Siddhartha's wife, that Princess Yasodhara, is now with Prince Rahula, and they both saw that Buddha and the Sangha is approaching, and this also was a shocking incident to this Princess Yasodhara. So Princess Yasodhara, as I mentioned, was also a very potential woman, and she is now showing little Rahula that this is your father. So he actually has left on the very first day that you were born, and you have never seen him. So this is a kind of a teacher, supreme teacher. Now he has come to our kingdom, and this is your father. So it's a very interesting incident. And Prince Rahula was inspired by the calm and serene demeanor of the Buddha and the Sangha. And there are many incidents happen during the Buddha's time, and I am not going to cover everything. Say, just for example, there were kind of wars between two sides. So at that time, Buddha was able to settle them, actually intervening there, and then sort of teaching them Dhamma, and was able to remove the disputes, and then make again they are quite peaceful. So there are many incidents happen. Actually, it is not the Buddha's life kind of a complete luxurious life. Rather, even though he is the Lord Buddha, there are many difficult situations he has faced with. There are many wrong accusations even happened. So for example, one woman called Chinchimanavika, so she actually accused Buddha that he make her pregnant. So this was a quite shocking news, and they are actually later people all understood that this woman is cheating, and this woman simply wants to purposely destroy the reputation of the Buddha, and she was actually blamed by others and then condemned by others, because Buddha and the Sangha was leading a quite pure life. So there are many such difficulties has happened. And again, there are many people came to the Buddha asking a lot of help. Say, for example, one woman called Kisagotami, she actually had only one child, and that child was killed. Actually, that she as the mother couldn't believe it, couldn't accept it. And she has become almost crazy because her own child was died, and she was taking this dead body and going after here and there after asking medicine. But ultimately she approached Buddha, and there Buddha was able to give a teaching to her with strategically. So he didn't immediately ask her to say practice Dhamma or to practice mindfulness. The Buddha understood that this woman's mind is quite desperate. She was in a kind of a depressive situation, and rather than Buddha telling that this child was already died, so he asked her to get some sesame seeds. So if those are able to taken, so I can cure him. So this was kind of a consoling words to this woman. And unfortunately, one condition was there, that she has to find these sesame seeds from a house where there is no death has happened, where there are no previous deaths has happened. So she actually went from house to house, searching of these kind of sesame seeds, but unable to find. So there she herself understood that this death or this aging, this death is quite a common phenomenon. It is not only to her child, but it is common to everyone. So likewise, Buddha has very beautiful strategies to understand others, to make them aware of the realities. So sometimes it is very difficult for us to realize the bitter truth, but Buddha has many strategies to teach Dhamma. And not only the, say, humans, even the gods and the animals, and they also were sort of quite supportive to the Buddha, and they also sometimes attended to the Buddha. And there are many stories that Buddha preaching the Dhamma even to the celestial beings. And there are many kings, Brahmins actually joined the order. They going forth and taken the Buddha as their refuge. And there are mighty kings who approach the Buddha. So they lay aside their, say, garments and their, say, luxurious palaces, and they started to follow the Buddha's teaching. They become moderate, they become quite moral. So this become kind of a very successful religion. And after spending 45 years, now Buddha came to the last hours of his life. So this is basically happened after 45 years of attaining the Buddhahood. So it was at Kusinagar where Buddha went to a place called Upavattana Salavana. It's a kind of a forest. And there he understood that this is his last moment, and many followers have gathered there. And there he mentioned, so I have spent 45 years as the Buddha. So whatever I have mentioned are quite true. It cannot be changed. It cannot be, it may not, it may never become something else, because what I have mentioned, what I have taught is the reality of the world. So therefore, the teaching of the Buddha is not only, say, valid during the Buddha's time, it is valid even today, and it is valid even tomorrow. Because it's a kind of a universal Dhamma. So he has taught certain principles, certain scenarios, certain, say, uh, knowledge, which is quite common, quite unique. And again, that is the reality. So therefore, it is quite difficult to deny it. So sometimes we are trying to disprove it, but anyway, ultimately we understand it is the truth. So likewise, his life was quite challenging in a way. Anyway, he was able to succeed in it. And there were many followers and many lay followers and many devoted monks and nuns. And after fulfilling his 45 years of task, so he passed away again in the Vesak full moon Poya day. So this is kind of a summary which I want to share with you. And there are many other incidents have happened. And even while during the Buddha's deathbed, while being there, he basically emphasized the practice of the Dhamma. So he mentioned that simply by offering various requisites, simply by offering or making a lot of offerings to him, that you cannot really understand the Dhamma. So those say traditions or rituals may be little supportive, but still you have to realize Dhamma by yourself. So I have shown the path. So Buddha is talking to the others, mentioning, I have shown the path without keeping anything to me. So whatever the necessary say knowledge I have transferred to you, I have informed you, I have taught you. So don't say be negligent, rather try to be diligent and realize the Dhamma, because our lifespan is quite short and we are spending even today with a lot of difficulties. There are many sort of threats are there again to our lives, basically using various pandemics, for example. And therefore we'll understand, even though we have a lot of things, we may have a lot of luxurious things, we may have wealth, we may have power, a lot of things may be available, but still the life is quite impermanent. So this teaching therefore is a kind of a universal teaching, and therefore let's strive and let's try ourselves also to practice this Dhamma. So as I said, so the beginning may be the practicing of mindfulness. So this practicing of mindfulness leads us to a better understanding. So with that, I like to conclude today's special sermon. And I wanted to share these views with you so that you get some idea about Buddha's life and how he was able to accomplish his task. And there are many things to learn from his life. Therefore, I invite you to learn or to study his life. So this is a very inspiring life that he has spent. So there are many things to learn, and there are a lot of teachings to get to our lives. And with that, I conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Now I invite all of you to participate in what you call this guided sitting. Okay, let's sit for a while then. And during the sitting, so I hope to guide you to certain qualities of the Buddha. And so today, therefore, this mindfulness session, I like to dedicate towards the certain qualities of the Buddha. So it is called Buddhanusati, and the reflections about the Buddha's qualities. So let's have a comfortable position. So you may sit in a comfortable position. Feel at ease. And you can gently close your eyes. So let's spend a couple of minutes to bring our attention to ourselves. So now we are comfortably sitting. We are not standing. We are not walking. We are not lying down. Rather, we are simply sitting. There may be various sounds available in the environment. I can hear very well the birds chirping. So in Sri Lanka now the early morning, and there are many birds. So they are enjoying the environment. Today is a sunny day. So birds chirping I can hear. Probably you can hear various minor sounds. Just open up yourself. So all these sounds happen in the present moment. And they come and go. They are not permanent. They are quite transient. So after noticing that, we can take our attention to our body. Head straight, neck straight, upper half of the body also straight. And arms may be resting on the table or maybe on your lap. And there may be kind of a weight at our buttocks. And the upper legs relaxed and lower legs also relaxed. So we are in a comfortable sitting posture. Like the Buddha's sitting posture. So having this comfortable sitting posture, quite balanced, is quite an important part of the practice. So spending a couple of minutes to get that balance is quite important. So if we are able to have that balance, then we can spend long time in the same posture without any trouble. So we can get some inspiration from the Buddha's life. So he born as a princess. So he was able to maintain his determination. And after became the Buddha, he was able to face many challenges. He is quite determined. So the life is not an easy task. So whatever the challenge comes on our way, so Buddha mentioned that we have to have kind of a confidence on ourselves. So we are having the same potential. So Buddha has given us the guidance. So that determination is quite unique to the Buddha, and he was able to inspire us. And his life was extremely pure. Even in open or in hide, he has never done anything wrong. Through his mind, through his words, through his deeds, whatever the thing he did, he speak or he thought was beneficial to himself and beneficial to others. And there were no any mistake in his life that he has done, even in hide. This is quite a unique property of the Buddha, unique quality of the Buddha. That is why we call him Arahant. And as a result, he was discerning out of offerings. He deserved to various offerings, out of sacrifices. Even in secret, he has never done anything wrong. He is therefore called Arahant. In our lives also, irrespective of our parents, our teachers are around or not. So having kind of such honest life is something very beautiful. So then we gain a lot of self-confidence. There are, of course, many temptations around the world, but we are able to have a determined life, that I am leading a moral life. I am leading an ethical life. I am leading a life beneficial to me and beneficial to the others. So I myself can try to have certain good qualities that Buddha had. May not be to the same extent, but at least I am trying my best. So the Buddha has never done anything wrong, even in secret. So his life is such a pure one. So he is, in a way, giving a good example to ourselves as a human being. He himself is making an extremely important example to us. He's inspiring us to have a pure life, to have a good life, to have a moral life. Not only the material achievements, even to have very good spiritual qualities in ourselves. And he was able to attain enlightenment without anyone else's support. It is true where there were few teachers, but they couldn't guide him on the correct direction. But the path he found, the Noble Eightfold Path, is quite unique to him. It is quite unique to his teaching. So he's a unsurpassed teacher. So his teaching was not limited to himself, but he shared with all the others, not only humans, even the celestial beings. Many were benefited. So we as followers have a lot of gratitude towards the Buddha. So without him, there is no mindfulness. Without him, there is no good moral precepts. Without him, there is no guidance. So we are quite grateful to him. So his knowledge was supreme, not only to the mundane aspects. So his knowledge is even to the supramundane aspects. So his wisdom is supreme. So he has shown us as a human being that one can develop to such extent. We doesn't need to be a blind followers. Rather, we can testify what he has taught. We can experiment, we can investigate. So therefore, he's kind of making us an invitation, open invitation to practice his Dhamma. So this open attitude, the possibility to investigate, the possibility to question is key features of his Dhamma. So we ourselves have to walk the path. He has given an example. He himself has attained the enlightenment. And then he taught the Dhamma for us also to have a good understanding. And the path he has taken is quite beautiful. And he has led a very exemplary life. And he is the supreme teacher who knows this world as well as the other worlds. Many universes he has known. And there were many people who are difficult to tame. But Buddha, without any weapons, without any wars, battles, he was able to tame them. His capacity to teach others was immense. He is the supreme teacher to the human and the gods. He is a fortunate person. He was able to attain enlightenment. He was able to compassionately teach the others. And he was able to accomplish his task. So we as his followers are quite fortunate to have such a guidance. Leaving aside many different extremes, we are able to have an open attitude, the possibility to investigate, possibility to realize for ourselves, to experience the teaching in this very life. We don't need to wait till we die to experience it. Rather, in this very life, we can taste it. So let's have gratitude towards him. We are quite grateful to him, and he deserves reverence. So we can have a honest humility towards his life. We can offer our lives to him. We are offering our lives to the best human qualities. Buddha exemplifies those. So the mindfulness practice helps us to taste that Dhamma, taste that freedom. It is not that we are trying to learn many books and to memorize everything. Rather, we are trying to taste it in this very life. So that was something that Buddha encouraged. He mentioned a lot of other offerings are not the way of respecting him. Rather, if we are able to maintain a moral life, a life with practice, practicing various spiritual qualities, developing mindfulness, and benefiting from that. So that is what he is expected. So let's try to practically live this Dhamma so that we ourselves start to feel it, start to experience it, starts to enjoy it. Then it is quite clear that his teaching is valid even today, practical even today. We, even after 2600 years ago, still can practice it, still can get the benefits. Okay, anyone like to share your experience? Today, actually, I wanted to dedicate the session towards the Buddha's qualities and the Buddha's life. So we get some inspiration from his life. So anything would you like to share or would you like to add to this event? Saritu, would you have anything to say?
Uh, well, I learned a lot about the Buddha's qualities, and I was able to reflect on them and understand more about the Buddha, like Arahat, as you said, how he didn't even do any evil, even in secret, and then also how he was able to attain enlightenment even without a teacher, which is very hard because what you normally know is something that you've learned from somewhere else. So to obtain enlightenment without a teacher or anything is just amazing. So I was able to reflect on the Buddha's qualities and I liked it.
Yeah. So basically, so that is why the Buddha becomes the sort of supreme teacher in a way, and he is giving us a lot of inspiration. So, because that is why it is mentioned that the Kalyana Mittata, or what we call the good companionship or good guidance, is quite important. So Buddha has been the first Kalyana Mitta in that sense. So he is the first person who attained enlightenment, and he has given that example. He has given that inspiration. So without it, actually, we don't know to which direction that we need to navigate, or to which direction that we need to focus. But rather, Buddha has narrowed down the path. So he has practiced many ascetic practices and tried various methods, and he understood that those methods are not useful. Those methods are not the correct path. Then he mentioned that there's a direct path. So that is the path of mindfulness. Ekaino ayam bhikkhave maggo sattanam suddhya. For the purification of the beings. So that's a direct path. So that is based on the practice of mindfulness. So that kind of a teaching is therefore even very valid today, and it is quite practical path. So we can't simply have an idea about the path simply by say reading or listening. Rather, we ourselves have to practice it. Then only we can taste it. Then only we can experience it. So that is in a way shows us how practical or how pragmatic his teaching is. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
If you're doing this by yourself, how do you do it?
So that is why, I mean, it is not that he immediately was able to find the correct path. So he actually has practiced in many ways in his all lives, and this is not his first life. So in many years that he has practiced. So that's why the 10 paramis or the 10 perfections are giving him that potential. He's preparing his mind. So as I mentioned in the short view in the first slide, so many years ago, so he as an ascetic has sort of got his determination that I will be the Buddha. So at that time, the Dipankara Buddha has seen his potential, and it is kind of a potential that one is developing slowly and acquiring it slowly. And so, I mean, you can try to be a Buddha. So by the way, it's a hard task, but now we are quite fortunate that we have a Buddha. So basically Buddha's teaching is still available. So now we are living in such fortunate time that still the teaching is available. So we are therefore not necessary to reinvent the wheel. Rather, he has taught us the path. The teaching is available. So we, rather than spending a lot of time in search of many other directions or in search of many other techniques, so we can practice his teaching and see whether is it beneficial to ourselves. So he never asks us to blindly follow him. Rather, he asks us to test it. So the teaching is there, the advisors are there. So he invites us to test it and see. So if you yourself understand it is beneficial, then you can actually follow it. Say, for example, say you are somewhat sick and you want to get medicine. So you don't have time to learn medicine and go to the medical college and do all these things in order to cure yourself. Suppose someone is telling, okay, there is a very good doctor, so he is quite capable and he definitely will give you the correct medicine. So you are developing faith on that doctor. Same scenario here. So once you have that faith on that doctor, say you are approaching him and you tell him what are the symptoms, you tell him what are the problems that you are going through. And after he investigate, then he is giving you the correct prescription. And we also actually can't simply satisfy ourselves with the, say, prescription. We have to actually get the medicine to that prescription. And again, we have to abide by the sort of certain practices or the behaviors conducive to our health, helpful to our health, and drink the medicine. Then we can able to recover. So same way here also. So Buddha as the supreme teacher, as the supreme physician, so he is giving Dhamma as a medicine. Dhammosada samang nati. So Buddha mentioned there is no medicine like Dhamma. So his teaching is like a medicine. So that is why we first of all have to have faith on him. So he is enlightened and he is the supreme teacher and he is quite capable and his teaching is capable of giving me also this kind of a good understanding, kind of a freedom from suffering. So we have that faith. So if we are able to practice the teaching and to follow it and to experience it, slowly then we will understand, okay, I don't need to blindly follow now because it is true. I myself enjoying it, I myself experience it. So it is a Dhamma kind of, we can test, we can put it to practice, we can verify it. So that is the beauty. Rather than having kind of a blind faith or blind following, so we are trying to test it, we are trying to verify it, putting it to our lives. So therefore, we also are able to say have kind of an understanding which is helpful to ourselves, helpful to others, and to eliminate worries and sufferings. So therefore, the teaching is available. Teaching is available even today. So therefore, I mean, if you want to become the Buddha, the path is also available. If you want to become a follower and to enjoy his teaching and to practice it and to have freedom, that is also available. Yeah.
එහෙමයි ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ. බොහොම පිං ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ.
Right. So anything, Arosh, that you like to share, or would you like to now wind up the session?
Well, I've got a question that I want to ask you. So, what qualities did the Buddha have that like made people willing to listen to him once he achieved an enlightenment and like let go of like any previous belief that they had?
Yeah, actually, so there are many aspects actually we have to talk here. Actually, not only the his enlightenment, but even the kind of the tradition he is bringing forth. And he has led very luxurious life. He is not kind of a failed person. He hasn't failed in his lay life. He was quite successful. He was the person to be the next king, but he left them aside and he found a different path. So that itself is kind of showing us kind of a radical approach. So we typically think that always we have to follow the physical success or the material success, and that is the only path. But he has correctly mentioned that it is possible to have other alternatives in life, and it doesn't mean that we all have to renunciate and become monks. Rather, so the material success is also one aspect of our life, and also we can have the spiritual component. Then only our lives become quite successful. So if we simply focus only on the material achievement, material success, then we are quite blinded in one side. Rather, how to balance these two while having the material success? How about maintaining the spiritual qualities and to have a kind of a successful life in that side as well? So that is why, I mean, you know that in the good old days we were talking about IQ, intelligence quotient, and then we come about EQ, emotional quotient as well. And now there's a new measurement called SQ, spiritual quotient. Now those are now actually scientists are also now finding out. So it is not simply the material success is enough. Rather, there are many other components necessary to ourselves to have a successful life, to have a balanced life. And and again, as we discussed, so whenever people are searching the Buddha, so his life is kind of an example, as I mentioned, as a quality, as an arahant. So he even in secret didn't have a life which is detrimental to others or himself. So even in secret, he didn't do anything wrong. So this is something actually people have tested. There was a Brahmin youth, and he actually followed the Buddha, trying to find fault. So he was not actually faithful, rather he want to find fault. Is it true that he is following? And when Buddha is going on alms round, he is following. And when Buddha is preaching, he was following. And when Buddha was in seclusion, he was following in hide, and he was checking him. After several months of investigation, his report says that Buddha is maintaining these qualities. Whatever he say, he do. Whatever he do, he say. Yathavadi tathakari. Tathakari yathavadi. So this is something very beautiful. So rather than we are trying to pretend a kind of a life, so he has spent a life which is true to type, in a say. So these are certain really beautiful qualities that actually inspire others. And again, he never forcefully want to teach or forcefully want to convert. Rather, he sometimes make a kind of a silent sermon. So people actually have noticed his demeanor, his way of life, his way of practice, and sort of how others are also benefiting. So likewise, his reputation start to grow. So that is why many other ascetics, even many other different clans came to the Buddha. Actually, you know, Buddha is from the Sakyan family, Sakyan clan, but the followers are not only limited to the Sakyan clan, even the Brahmin clan, even the Sakyan clan, in the merchant clan. So the many clans actually are started to follow the teaching, and it is not sort of limited to a certain level of the society. Even the kings, even the merchants, even the say servants, and all actually have something to learn from the Buddha. So likewise, it's a kind of a universal teaching. So I think the teaching is quite unique, and the person who understood that teaching has become kind of a universal teacher. So that itself is quite inspiring. So when people start to practice that teaching, so they themselves understood, so it is true. That's why, I mean, it is true that we have to have some sort of a faith whenever we start. That is why I mentioned as an example, say if you are sick, when you are going to a doctor, so you believe that this doctor is capable, this doctor is skillful, is capable of recognizing my disease, my problem. and to give me the correct medicine. So first of all, we have to have that faith. But when you are taking that medicine, then slowly assume that you are recovering. That is giving you a lot of confidence. That is giving you a lot of, say, hands-on experience. Yes, I am recovering. So you don't need to ask from someone whether I am recovering now. Rather, you yourself experience the health. You are regaining health. You are regaining the strength. So it is quite true that doctor is a capable doctor. And you may tell to another person, yeah, to the same disease, please go to that doctor. I myself have taken the medicine from that doctor and I have recovered. So you can recommend to another person. So likewise, the Buddha's teaching has spread. So that is why I believe that it has the capacity to verify. So that is, I feel that quite different from the other religions. They ask to simply follow. You can't test it. You can't question it. You yourself sometimes can't experience it. You can only experience it after the death. But in the Buddhism, in the Buddha's teaching, it is quite different. You are allowed to question. You are allowed to test. You are allowed to experience. And within this life itself, you can have the same understanding. Yeah. Okay, I think we have spent 1 hour and almost 15 minutes. So if there is anything, there is nothing else, so we can wind up today's sessions. Arosh, would you like to wind up the session then?
Okay. I would like to thank all of you for coming to today's session. I hope you all learned something useful. And I'd also like to thank Venerable Chandarathana Thero for being here and teaching us about like today's topic, about like the qualities of Lord Buddha. Thank you. Also, in about 2 weeks, like June 11th, there will be a family meditation session, and I hope that all of you could be there. Thank you.
Yeah, Theruvan Saranai. Sukhi Hotu.
Everyone, Saranai.
Yeah.
Everyone, Saranai.